students, I am Dr. Pragati Jadhav. I am working as assistant professor in RBNB College, Sri Rampur, affiliated to Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune. In previous lecture, we have discussed intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductor. In this lecture, we will see direct and indirect band gap semiconductor. So for this, let's consider the diagram in which the energy is plotted against the wave vector. So this is the diagram for direct band gap semiconductor or EK curve for direct band gap semiconductor. For indirect band gap semiconductor, the conduction band minimum lies at different K value than the valence band maximum. On x-axis there is wave vector, on y-axis there is energy, and this is the trap level denoted by ET. This is for indirect band gap semiconductor. So the question arises that why this curvature is observed in direct and indirect band gap semiconductor. So first we will see the silicon atom which has 14 electrons in it. So the electronic configuration of silicon is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2 and 3p2. So when n number of silicon atoms come closer, it forms the bands. According to Pauli's exclusion principle, no two electrons have in same quantum states. So these valence electrons or the energy levels of these valence electrons may be split into n number of levels. So in order to explain this direct and indirect band gap, one has to treat this problem quantum mechanically, and we assume the electron in a lattice is associated with wave function in the form of plane wave, which is moving in positive x direction with propagation constant k, and this propagation constant k is also called as wave vector. So the wave function associated with the electron is given by psi k of x is equal to u, the function of kx x into e raised to I kx, where the function u kx of x, which modulates the wave function according to periodicity of lattice. The conduction band as well as the valence band, this is the conduction band and this is the valence band. So both are having parabolic nature. So we have to discuss the parabolic nature, how it comes to the conduction band and valence band. So in this figure, on y-axis energy is plotted and on x-axis the wave vector is plotted, or the x-axis is wave vector axis and y-axis is energy axis. So as we know, the momentum is given by P is equal to m into v, which is equal to h cross into k, and the energy is given by E is equal to 1/2 mv square, or from this equation we may write E is equal to p square upon twice m, or it is equal to h cross square k square upon twice m. Where k is equal to 2 pi by lambda and lambda is the wavelength of the wave. So when we plot energy versus momentum or energy versus the wave vector, both plots have the same nature, and the curvature of band is determined by the second derivative of E versus K. So we will see this dE by dK, which is equal to h cross square k upon m, and its double derivative is d square E by dk square, which is equal to h cross square by m. Here this mass is nothing but the effective mass of the carriers. As in case of semiconductor, electrons as well as holes take part into the conduction process. This m, that is effective mass, is denoted by m star. So one may write the effective mass as m star is equal to h cross square upon d square E by dk square, and this d square E by dk square is nothing but the curvature of the band. Because of band curvature, the carrier can have the different effective mass. The effective mass has the direct implication on the mobility of semiconductor. For electronic application, the mobility of carriers in semiconductor is important. So mu be the mobility of semiconductor. Mu be the mobility of semiconductor. this mobility is related to effective mass as mu is equal to q into tau upon m star. Here q is the charge of the carrier, tau is the mean time between two successive collisions, and m star is the effective mass. As normally in semiconductor, charges move in random motion. Let's consider this is the starting point. Then electron will move in this direction. Then due to collision, it will move in this direction. The collision is due to impurities or due to defects or with the lattice. This will move in this direction. Then this electron will move in this direction or in this direction. So this random motion may be visualized as when one drops the stone in the small pond, then there will be a motion of the dust particles within the water. This type of motion is a random motion. So normally without any application of electric field, the charges move randomly. When electric field is applied, let's say electric field is applied in negative x direction, the electron will move in positive x direction. However, when electric field is applied, there may be also the collision of charge carriers with the lattice and the defects within the material, and the net direction will be in the positive x direction. And tau is the mean time between the two successive collisions. When electric field is applied to the semiconductor, then the velocity of carriers is known as drift velocity, which is given by Vd is equal to mu into E. So from this, mobility is given by mu is equal to Vd, that is drift velocity upon E. So mobility may be defined as drift velocity per unit electric field. The mobility of charge carriers is different for different semiconductors. As the mobility as well as effective mass is different for different semiconductors, the band curvature of the conduction band as well as valence band will be different for different semiconductor. So the conduction band minimum and valence band maximum lie at different k values in some cases, and the conduction band minimum and valence band maximum lie at same k values in some cases. So when conduction band minimum and valence band maximum lie at same k values, then these type of semiconductor are called direct band gap semiconductor. And when the conduction band minimum and valence band maximum lie at different k values, then these type of semiconductors are called indirect band gap semiconductor. So in case of direct band gap semiconductor, when electron from conduction band minimum makes transition to the valence band maximum, the energy is radiated in the form of photon which is equal to h nu, and this h nu is equal to the band gap of that semiconductor. And in case of indirect band gap semiconductor, the electron from minimum of conduction band will not directly reach to the maximum of valence band, but it has to jump to some trap level, which is seen due to impurities or defect within the semiconductor. And then when the electron reaches to the k equal to 0, it will make transition from trap level to the valence band maximum. And in both of the process, the momentum must be conserved, and that increased energy will be radiated in the form of heat. So in this case, when electron jumps from trap level to the maximum of valence band, there will be non-radiative transition, and in case of direct band gap semiconductor, the electron from conduction band minimum makes transition to the valence band maximum, giving out the photon of energy h nu, and there is radiative transition. So these direct band gap semiconductors are useful for the formation of devices like lasers. So this is all about the direct band gap as well as indirect band gap semiconductor. With this, I conclude this lecture. Thank you.